Welcome to Teen Pride Book Talk. My name is Lucy, and this is the program on AADL TV where each episode I take a few minutes to talk about a young adult book that is representative of and inclusive of folks in the LGBTQIA plus community. The book that I am going to be talking about today is called The Breakup Lists, and this is by Adib Khorram. The main character of The Breakup Lists is a high school boy, he's a junior, named Jackson Ghaznavi, and he is really big in the world of theater. He is in the crew, so he's behind the scenes. Theater is a large part of this book, so if you are someone who is involved in the world of theater or you enjoy it, there's a lot in there that really gets behind the scenes and that might really seem familiar. Jackson loves to make lists. Most of the lists that he makes are these breakup lists, and they're for his sister, Jasmine. Jasmine is always cycling through boyfriends. When a relationship ends, Jackson makes these lists with her that sort of point out all the bad qualities of the guys who broke up with her. And then he reads them to her. She asks for them when she needs that comfort. These are all kept in the back of a notebook, which is also this very important item to Jackson because it is where all of his notes about whatever stage production is happening are kept. So he always has this notebook with him. Jackson himself, as far as relationships, has never really been in one. He had one boyfriend for a very short time who he now has to see in close proximity because that person, Cam, often stars in the high school productions. Jackson's parents are divorced. His mom moved to Colorado. He sees a lot of his sister's heartbreak and what she goes through. And so he's pretty cynical about relationships and not really looking to be involved with anyone. The high school that Jackson goes to is going to be putting on Jesus Christ Superstar. And a kid from swim team, this big high school athlete named Liam, comes in to try out, which is very surprising because he's not part of the theater world. He's part of the athletic world in this high school. And he is excellent. He's so good. And so he gets a part. He is cast as Jesus. And this begins a friendship between him and Jackson. They're really great friends. And one of the things I really liked about this book was Liam, how kind he is and what a good friend he is to Jackson. A lot of this book is really about the friendship stage of their relationship. When Jasmine meets Liam, she immediately has a crush on him. So this feels difficult for Jackson, and he has to examine why. And he thinks, do I have a crush on Liam? But he doesn't want to have a crush on anyone, and he would rather push Liam and his sister together. He also assumes that Liam is straight. Jackson's true best friend is named Bowie, and Bowie, who is non-binary and asexual, is the head of the Gay Straight Alliance at high school. And this is something that Jackson refuses to be a part of because one time they used the stage for something and they got glitter on it. This is the biggest flaw they ever could have made. The relationship between Bowie and Jackson is a real strength in this book because it's such a strong friendship. There's never a point where it turns into something romantic. And I think that really featuring these strong friendships in rom-com books as well as romantic relationships is of value. One of the things that Liam starts to do, which is really kind and respectful of Jackson, is that he starts to learn sign language. Jackson is hard of hearing. He wears hearing aids, but that gets very tiring for him. A lot of times he takes them out to sort of reduce the noise, and nobody around him in his world knows ASL except actually for Bowie because both of their parents are deaf. Bowie and Jackson can sign, but nobody in Jackson's family has ever learned ASL. The way that Jackson struggles with this are shown in the book is really great. We get these sentences as they are to him, so it'll be part of a sentence, and then Jackson just writes in something, something. Sometimes he asks the speaker to repeat something or makes them remember that they can't turn away from him and speak, but sometimes he just doesn't feel like correcting behavior and constantly having to do that work. There is a moment in the beginning of the book where Jackson talks about his disability and he talks about being gay together, and he says that his parents had a much more difficult time with his disability than they did with his coming out as far as acceptance. So that's isolating for him within his family, but also in school. And that sort of influences how he feels about intimacy and getting close to people. As Liam and Jackson get closer, Liam starts to reveal some of the details of what's going on with his parents, and they are getting a divorce. So Jackson becomes somewhat of a source of comfort for Liam in those conversations because he's someone who's been through it. And Jackson has pushed Jasmine and Liam together, and they are sort of dating. Jasmine is really enthusiastic about it. Liam seems less so. And Jackson realizes he made a mistake and that he shouldn't have done that because he really has very strong feelings for Liam. And we start to see that maybe Liam feels the same way. This book is told from the first person point of view. We get it from Jackson's voice, but we can glean through Liam's words and actions how he might be feeling. When Liam ends things with Jasmine, Jasmine asks Jackson to make a breakup list about Liam. And this is really something that Jackson doesn't want to do. And he has to think about why it's so difficult for him when none of the other breakup lists have ever been difficult. And he does his own breakup lists. He does them for his teachers and he does them for kids at his school. And he just really doesn't want to do it for Liam because he and Liam have just really formed this relationship. And when they do finally confess their feelings for each other, they feel that they have to keep that secret for a while. There is a breakup list for Liam, and it really creates tension as the reader because you know that this breakup list is in the back of Jackson's notebook. And so you just get this feeling like he's carrying that notebook everywhere. This is worrisome because he's also with Liam all the time. So for me as a reader, I just was constantly hoping that he would just remove it from that book or get rid of it or give it to his sister if she constantly needed this comfort of hearing this list, which every time Jackson has to repeat it is very difficult for him, and he gets tired of doing it. There were so many things about this book that I really liked. One of the things I liked the most, I talked about Liam's character, but I thought Jackson was a great character as well, as was Bowie. There's a lot of humor in it because of Jackson's way of viewing the world, but just in general. I also liked the way it explored so many different types of relationships. Jackson examining his abandonment issues, which he's been in therapy for, really looks deeply into family connections and parent and child connections. And then we see Liam going through that as well. Friendships are central to this book. Jasmine and Jackson's relationship is its own important part of this book. And so while this book is really about Jackson trying to come to terms with how he feels about a person, but also trying to allow himself to be in a relationship and to be a little bit vulnerable, it's also about this whole other cast of characters, well-developed characters. So you really feel like you're getting to know these people. It was really easy to get into this book, and so I felt myself just not wanting to put it down. And then when I finished it, I kind of had this moment of not wanting to give up spending time with those characters. And I would recommend that you jump into the breakup lists so that you can spend some time with these wonderful characters as well. Thank you for joining me.